Hi, today I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened in my life, and we're going to pull it apart and look at it from three different angles. So I'm actually going to do it over three videos. So once all the videos are published, I'll make sure they're linked somewhere above my head through the video and also in the description so that you can learn from all the perspectives. So here's the backstory, and then here's the three ways we're going to look at it. Somebody in my extended family, a young couple in my extended family, in the last week or so, bought a house for the first time. And they were very excited, understandably. And they were sharing with me that they felt quite uncomfortable because the real estate agent had been bragging online and at parties and like took a video of them after they'd moved in and shared it on social media without even telling them that he was recording them, without asking their permission. And I could see as they were telling me about it, just how awkward they felt, right? So we're going to look at this story, this situation, because this situation can play out in this sort of dynamic plays out everywhere, every day, all the time, right? But it's kind of gross. So, and not ideal. And if you, like me, are determined to run the healthiest, most empowering business possible, and you also want to live your most fully expressed version of yourself, then we're going to pull this apart together. So in this video, we're going to look at what happens when you witness somebody else that you care about, or just anybody, because you care about your fellow humans, and you witness something that you can see they're awkward, you can see that the situation has made them uncomfortable because a boundary has been violated, right? That's what's happened here. There was no permission, there was no consent. And it's simple, if they had been given an option, they would have actually said no. They wanted the sacredness of that moment. And that's true in so many situations in our businesses as well. So that's what we're going to look in this video. And then in the next two videos, we're going to look at what happens when you're the one who's in the position where somebody else makes you feel awkward. So somebody else asks things of you or doesn't even ask. They just take without asking, without giving you the option to say no. That's what we'll cover in video 2. And then video 3 is what you need to do if you're the one who's in any sort of position of power over anybody else. So I'm going to look at it specifically in the context of running a business. So if you run a coaching, healing, mentoring, facilitating of healing type of business, or any sort of business where you're supporting humans, I'm going to look at it specifically through that lens, but you're going to be able to apply it to any number of situations. So that's what we're going to do in these videos. If we haven't met, I'm Carolyn Southwell. Hi, I live in Brisbane, Australia. I spend a lot of time helping people understand how to, especially if you want to be like the most conscious, aware, awake version of yourself. Most of my clients, a lot of my followers will be running a service-based business or a business that teaches, educates, helps people to heal. So we just make the world work better for everybody. So if that sounds like you, then stick around. So let's look at point number 1 today, which is what happens when you witness somebody else has had an experience of a boundary being violated. Now, the very first thing I want to say here is, while this is a young couple, I want to point out that these are adults. So I approach this situation differently than if they were minors. If they were legally children still, that were under my care in any way, shape or form, then this is something that I would have reported, because we have a diligence, we have a duty of care as adults to look after the children in our community. Now, because they're adults, and then I approach this differently. Now, when they shared this with me, I said to them, you know what, that's not okay. And so I reinforced to give them an opportunity to learn from another adult, another perspective. Hey, how you're feeling now of feeling awkward, that's a completely reasonable response to have. And it's not okay what this person did. And you are totally within your rights to go, hey, mate, that's not okay with me. Can you pull it down? Now, they didn't want to. They don't actually feel comfortable standing up for themselves to that degree. And that's okay. That's their, they have a choice as adults. So that was how that played out. So if you're in that situation of witnessing somebody and you can see, man, this is not okay how this person's being treated, then you can communicate that to them. Sometimes the other adults in our life, doesn't matter what age they are, if they don't have a lot of innate sense of self-esteem, or they don't have a lot of access to their anger, they won't always know that they're allowed to stand up for themselves. And sometimes just you being an adult, another adult that says, hey, that's not okay. You deserve better. That was a sacred moment for you. You are allowed to say, no, that's not okay with me. Now, because they're adults, it's not my place to go and reprimand the bad behaving real estate agent as much as I would like to. So let's talk about this. I've witnessed what I call an injustice. And you know what I wanted to do before I tapped? We'll talk about that. I wanted to ring up that real estate agent and give him a mouthful and go, how dare you do this? This is completely unprofessional. It's ridiculous. Let me, and I wanted to look up whether or not they'd broken any regulatory rules or laws and tell them this is fucking ridiculous. How dare you? But what I realized is that's my anger. Again, they're adults. So I've highlighted to them that they have, this young couple, that they have options, that they're allowed to stand up for themselves. They're allowed to say, nope, don't treat me like that. Nope, that's not okay with me. Nope, I did not give you permission to videotape me and brag about your sale all over social media. It's not my place as a witnessing adult to then go behind their back, which is what it would have been, and to let out my anger at this person who has violated a boundary. So what did I do? I tapped. I walked around the front yard in bare feet and I tapped on how angry I felt at this real estate agent until the anger had fallen out of me and I didn't feel compelled to ring him and give him a mouthful or to badmouth him on social media. It is so easy to take action when we're triggered. Please don't do that. Please take 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to tap instead and calm the F down, because then if it is appropriate for you to take some kind of action, you are going to take much wiser, cleaner, appropriate action that when you're ready to mouth off at somebody that you've never met before or that you know really well, right? This isn't about shutting down the anger so that you're just a good girl or a good boy who doesn't cause a fuss. It's not about this at all. Sometimes we have to create a fuss. Sometimes we have to get loud and stand up for people, but we're always going to do a better job of that. And we're always going to know what is the best action to take for that specific situation and that specific web of relationships when we've tapped on our own triggers. Because here's what I can guarantee. Even though now that I'm much calmer, I still really, really dislike the way that this real estate agent was carrying on about his sale and bragging and using that sacred, vulnerable moment of this young couple moving into their first house. I really, really dislike it. I'm never going to sell a house with this guy. Not interested, unless he changed his behavior, of course. However, for me to find this much anger, for my anger to be triggered so quickly into such a big reaction, means that that anger existed in my body long before this situation happened. Because I've never met this guy. I was super angry at him, super angry at a guy I've never met because of a story I've heard, right? He didn't create my anger. The situation didn't create my anger. It just revealed the anger that was already inside of me because of past things that either have happened to me or I have witnessed or both. And that's what I want to point out to you is if you're witnessing something similar to this, in that somebody that you care about feels really awkward because they've had some kind of boundary violated, and that makes you really angry, please know that that person didn't make you angry. They just triggered the anger that was already there. And that's part of the reason that it's so valuable for us to take 5 or 10 or 15 minutes or whatever, however long you need with the skills and knowledge that you have, to just work through a little bit of that anger that you found and move through some of it. It literally took me like 5 minutes as I was walking around the front yard tapping, and then the anger was just gone. It felt like it just fell out of me. And I couldn't even really be angry at the guy anymore. Now, there's some sort of discomfort at the situation that you've been able to see as I share it on the video, but the level of anger that I had that was like making me want to take action that would have been completely inappropriate and would have caused more issues, I'm sure of it. If nothing else, issues in the relationship that I have with this young couple, because they didn't ask me to do that. Yeah. Instead, now I'm calmer and I can take more appropriate action. And I can just, now the action that I want to take is stay curious and have some conversations with other people about, like, what are the regulatory sort of rules in the real estate space? Is this common behavior? Is it okay? Is there a way that I can anonymously report behavior so the behavior is changed without it having to be about this person did this thing to these people? Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. If you don't know how to do really simple, gentle tapping, then that's something you can learn with me. I'll put a link in the description below this video. And of course, if this was helpful, you can like, subscribe, share, any of the things that you know to do on YouTube. And otherwise, keep an eye out for the other videos where I'll look at this same situation from a different perspective. Bye for now.